Okay, so let's get started. Thank you for joining me. We are going to work on the second hands-on tutorial using ArcGIS Insights. And I sent the tutorial document to your email, so please make sure you open that up. I'm going to start sharing my screen. And after you open the tutorial document, tutorial number 2 for the hands-on using ArcGIS Insights, there's a specific introduction about the case that we're going to look at, which is about the drug abuse. And we are going to explore the drug abuse in the US using that specific data provided by the Health and Human Services analyst. So we're looking into that, and the goal is to find anomalies. So we were going to look at the data and look at different geographic locations, see if we can identify some anomalies, and that's what we are going to do. So the objectives of this tutorial are two sides. First, we are going to conceptualize how we can visualize in ArcGIS Insights. That's the first thing you want to do. Then we are going to implement location analytics with the focus on an anomaly and spatial time series analysis. So please go ahead and open that tutorial link, and we are going to walk through that steps. All right. And then at the end, I'll show you what you need to submit to earn your certificate. So let's just open that link and get started. You can also log into your arcgis.com and sign in. You should have your credentials, so sign in here. And when you get to this point on the app browser, so let me make this minimize. On the app browser, you can click on Insights. That's the tool we are going to look at. So open Insights and don't do anything right now. Let's just go back to tutorial and then we come back to this page. Just want to make sure everyone has loaded that Insights so we can start working with the Insights. So has anyone opened Insights? Were you successful or you're still logging to your accounts? Okay. All right, perfect. So you are on Insights, that's great. So there are two parts for this activity, and please stop me if anyone had any questions or some part is not clear enough or something is not working the way that we are going through it. But I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to go through the steps that you can see here as well. So the drug that we're going to investigate is lidocaine. That's the main drug that we are going to look at. And that is usually subsidized by the federal government. So we want to create a workflow helping us to understand if there is anomaly in terms of abusing the lidocaine in different parts of the United States. So we are going to create a new workbook. And don't forget, we need a data set for that. So first, create a new workbook. So here, when you log into ArcGIS Insights, you can click on workbooks on the left and then select new workbook right on the top right. And that's how the new workbook and Insights will be created. It may take a while to be loaded. So give it some time. And the first step, of course, if you recall, it is going to ask you for a data set, right? So what you need to do, you need to download 2 Excel files. So let me go back to tutorial. There is one drug abuse data set for actually drug usage for the Washington State, and there's another one for Florida. Both are in Excel format. So I can just right click and download all of the data set I want. Okay, so download both Excel files. And let me go back to the take a look at the data set here. So we have different cities, state of Florida, of course. We have days, type of the drug, what is the cost, and the location. So we have X and Y coordinates, which are going to be our latitude or longitude. So that's great. Same thing would be for the Washington state. So I'm not going to open the Washington state. But before you open that in Insights, it would be a great idea to open it in Excel, make sure data is correctly downloaded. Next thing,
Hi,
yes.
Professor, quick question. I don't know if anyone else is having an issue because I can't download neither of the Excel files.
Are you using MacBook?
No, I'm using an HP.
Okay. So do you right click on these two links?
Yeah, I put save link as, and then after that, I tried saving.
Yeah, so mine.
Hui?
Yeah, no, the system thing. It's a virus, so you have to actually allow it to download. So there's a
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
download. It should
Yes.
have
So when you
something. It
allow,
says file
exactly. So,
not downloaded, potential security risk.
so
Yeah.
when you click on save,
Mhm.
see that there is an option here.
Oh yeah.
You have to click on the keep. But
Oh,
thank you for
okay.
bringing that up because I forgot to tell you that for some reason, our system detects it as a kind of a malicious type of file. So you have to say, okay, I want to keep that file. I don't want to discard it.
Okay,
That's a
cool.
great question.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hui, for pointing that out. So after you have downloaded that, of course, we already have selected a new workbook. Now we want to select the Washington state data. So let me go back to Insights, and I'm going to upload the Washington state's data. And let me just copy and paste my path here. And I'm going to select Washington and open it up. Give it some time. If you have a larger data set with several workbooks, it is going to pop up right here. But right now we only have one sheet, so we just select that. That's the only sheet we have. But if you have multiple sheets, you have to choose which one you actually want. Or you can have all of them, of course, and select add. Now the table is added here, right? This is the table for Washington, and I can rename it. I don't want to keep that table name at the end of it. So I can say, okay, just rename this one for me. Next thing I want to do, I want to enable its location. Even though we have the coordinates, remember we had X and Y, but it is not identified as a location attribute. See that the icon here shows it is a numerical data. It is not identified as a geographic coordinate. So what you need to do, you need to go and enable location. And the location type would be coordinates because we have X and Y. If it was an address, you would have selected address, for example, the US standard address, or if you had city names or the county name, then you would select geographic. But right now we are going to select coordinates. And don't hit run. We are going to select repeat identical features. What that means is that if there are two or more of the same locations with different, of course, information about the drug usage within the states of Washington, then if you don't check that repeat identical features, they are going to be aggregated. One of them or more than that would be ignored. So it would be very important to check that option. Next thing would be to identify what would be our spatial reference or coordinate system. So if I go back here, I may not follow the exact structure here, but I'm trying to go through the exact steps as much as possible. So let me go back here and go back up there. So the spatial reference would be that WGS 1984 Web Mercator Auxiliary Sphere. So what I can do, I can just search for web. And so just search for web. because there's only one option, I can just select that. Now I can hit run. Okay, so I enable location, and that's a very important task to do. Now I have to go to do some of these options to change the name of the workspace and other things. So let me do that before I forget. So we added the data set. Now we changed the name to Washington, right? And it should be Washington State. Let me change that. Oh, I accidentally removed it. Great, I have the undo button. Perfect. Now I want to we already have these. This is kind of a little bit more information about different fields. We looked at that. Then the next thing would be change the name of the workbook. So I want to change that to lidocaine prescriptions. So here you see that that's untitled workbook. Put that lidocaine prescriptions and then add your own name at the end of it. Why? Because when you want to share this workbook at the end of the tutorial, so your work would be marked as complete. You don't have to submit anything to us. We just need to share it within the organization. I can just look at your name and know that, okay, that is the, let's say, Hui's work, or that is Paulina's work. So make sure you put the right name. You can put your whole name, complete name, but don't put something I cannot identify. I would say just put your last name. It would be great to do that. And I would say version 2 for myself because I already have one, and you don't have to do that version 2. I want to save so I don't lose my progress. We are right on track. And now we want to add some, we already have enabled location, so we don't have to worry about that. And I'm just gonna wait here, make sure everyone has finished. And then I'll come back and add something to the map. Is there any question? Anyone has a problem? No? Okay. So now I want to add these prescriptions to the map. So I can select that coordinates. Remember, for the X and Y, we had numerical. Now we have a different icon for the coordinates. I can select that. And while it's selected, I hold my left key mouse. And then when bring it to the empty area, it gives you an option to create chart, table, and a map. So I'm just going to throw it and just drag and drop it in the map. And it's going to add these dots to the map. So these are based on X and Y that we selected to create the coordinates. I want to make sure I save, so keep doing that before you lose your progress. So we did that. Now I can change the base map. So instead of using that default option, I may want to use another base map, which would be much easier to look at these. So I'm just go over this area, see that base map appears, and I can select the dark gray canvas. You can choose anything else you have preference for, but right now we are going to use the dark gray canvas. So save it. And then if you click on the layer options, you can make some customization for these dots. This is great to know the exact location of these dots, but what else can we do with these dots? So if you hover your mouse, if the card is not active, you can just click on that and then select that option. It is going to give you the layer options. And then if you click on the options, you can change the way these dots are being displayed. Right now, the option is based on the coordinates and the symbol type is location, single symbol. So all of the symbols will be the exact same thing, but we want to change that. So we want to change that to the heat map. From the single symbol, you want to change that to the heat map. So what happens is going to be a different visual, and based on the concentration of the points, the color would be more inclined to that color map, right? So we have, for example, in the Seattle, and this is dynamic. When I zoom in, it is going to be based on that location. So I have much more concentration around Seattle. That makes sense, right? Because we have much more population probably in that location. The number of drug usage would be much higher. And yeah, we have much higher in some areas as well. So if I zoom into that Dallas, Houston, Austin area, see that there is a high concentration in the middle of those big cities, and they have some rural areas as well. So let me go back to the tutorial. So created that heat map. Now I want to create a different chart. So I want to bring that type to the charting area. Again, select type, click on that. Hold your left key mouse down and bring it to the charting area. And here, if you just still keep holding your mouse, and then gives you the option to select tree map and just drop it on the tree map. Right away, you can see that the usage of lidocaine is the highest among different prescription drugs, right? Because that's the largest area on the tree map. Great, let's save it. Then we can add another chart. So we have selected that. If you want to delete that chart for some reason and make an inaccurate chart, you don't want to keep that, you can just hover your mouse on the option here, more options, and then just select delete, right? And that's very cool thing about the cards. You can easily remove or make customization. Now we want to examine cost. So we want to create the third card based on the cost. So what I can do, I can drag the type and create a table instead of that tree map. So let's just bring type and bring to the summary table. I can see the number of each one, and it's similar to what we actually see here on the tree map. So it's not different, but we're going to change it. So don't worry, it's not the same exact thing. Right now, we can see that, okay, the major category with the lidocaine, same thing for the tree map. So we have added the third card, and now I can add two more. First one, I want to create time series, so I can drag and drop date and type. So select type and select date. And if I bring it to the charting area, it gives me, because we have date here, it is already identified as a date attributes, right? So that's icons like a clock. That's why it gives me the option to create a time series chart. I can just drag and drop it here, and it is going to create a time series chart. So to make it more room for the time series is very stacked right now. I'm just going to expand it a little bit more. It's going to be equal to 2 of my regular cards. And you can place these in different locations based on your screen size or preferences. So we have the type as well as the, this is for the Washington, of course, as well as different types of the drops. Same as here, right? Now, the last card would be a pie chart. So we want to use a pie chart, and you just select the donut chart, and you want to drag the state to that location. So we can say, I'm sorry, you want to bring the, yes, state to the pie chart. So let's just bring the state and select the donut chart. It is going to be our 5th chart. Don't forget to save. Now we have the same exact numbers, but in different formats. So we have the state of Washington with much more concentration, very clear. We can see that on the map, but we can also confirm it from the pie chart and other states. Perfect. So let's just go back here. We have made the fifth chart, but what I want to do, we want to go back to that card 3 that I told you you need to change and select bar chart. So if you are not happy with what you just made, or you feel that that's not an appropriate chart or that's not an appropriate table, you can change the visualization. You just need to make that card active, and it gives you an option to change the visualization and select the bar chart. Cool. So I can select bar chart, and it's going to give me different options. But probably I want to sort these. It will be much easier to look at the sorted values. And so I can sort it maybe ascending, so the higher category will be shown the last. And also I can change the colors if I want to. If we go to the layer option, I can click on the options here, and I can click on the style and change the symbol color. For example, I just select blue right now. You can choose anything you want, or purple, right? And just close it. Don't forget to save, because I didn't like that kind of dark gray color. I would select another color for that purpose. And here you get to actually see much more information, but right now we're not looking into that. After the actual implementation, I'll come back to some of the additional options for the different cards that we have here. So let's just finish the tutorial first, and then I'll talk about these different options. And so we have finished that chart as well. We made that chart, and it's time to kind of rename these cards. Instead of having their default card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let me just close this one. I would just copy and paste these names to each one. So I can just hover my mouse over card 1, paste that. Same for the other ones. So if you actually place your card in different location, make sure you actually put the right, or maybe you've created card 3 first, then card 2. Make sure you put the right name for that, right? It doesn't make a difference in terms of visualization. It just helps you in the future if you want to come back to see what was that actual card. And the last one was distribution by state. Perfect. So far, so good. Is there any question, anything not working for you?
I'm good.
Everyone's good? Yes? Okay. Again, if you have anything you want to discuss, please stop me. But I think we are on the right track. Next thing I want to do, I want to rename that page to Washington State, because I have another state you want to work for. So I can just click on page 1 and paste the Washington State here. Don't forget to save. Right? It's very good practice to learn. So we made all these 5 charts, 1 heat map, 1 tree map, 1 bar chart, 1 donut chart, and then 1 time series. So I was to look at the data, but we didn't identify any anomalies. It seemed like for all of different types of the drugs for the Washington State, we can, at this level, we cannot identify any high or very low type of situation. It seems like a regular time series, seems like a random, but probably if you go back and do the other state, you will see much more information that help us to identify some anomalies. So let's explore the data. If you want to interact with the data, it would be great to use the option to do the cross filter. So this one is not enabled by default. You can enable it for any card that you want. So for 3 cards, we want to make that enable. So we want to do that for time series, distribution, heat map, and also the the actual tree map. So let's just enable the cross filter, and I'll show you what happens when you do that. So let's say I click on the lidocaine. So the heat map is updated. The time series is updated. Of course, the lidocaine on the tree map is selected. What that means is that I can just identify that specific type and look at its distribution on the basis of time and location. So if I identify any anomaly, then I may dig more into it. The time series does not give me any sign that something is off. Also, the location was that we had before is similar to what we have right now. So the heat map doesn't give me any newer hotspots. So I don't identify any irregularities, anomalies on this specific drug type. So I can just uncheck that, right? You can check it, select it, and then if you click one more time, you can uncheck it. Great. So I did that, and then kind of did all of these steps. Last step is to share the model. If you want to see your model, it would be a great idea to let me show you in a sec. It will be a great idea to come here and click on analysis view, and you can see what you actually have done, right? You can update the data set, and then all of these would be updated based on that new data. Or you can update any of these if you want to. But right now, this is good. We're gonna use this model for another data set. So I'm just gonna click on the page view one more time to bring back the page view. Don't forget to save. Last thing is to share this model. So on the bottom, right next to the page option, if you click on that, you get to share something. There are different things you can share here. So if you select share, it gives you an option to share the page. You can share the model, you can share the theme. What I want to share is the model. So let's select that model. And I have to give it a name. So I want to give it a title. So I would say lidocaine analysis. Perfect. And I would add my name to it. And you can uncheck that insights and then put other tags here. So I would add party, HHS, and lidocaine, and then press enter. So all of them are added. And maybe I can just add lidocaine here. Description, if you want to add the description, you can just say, okay, possible party prescription drug abuse. Great. This is very important. So we added all of these, but if you don't share it appropriately, then not only you're not able to use it for your certificate, also you cannot see that maybe through the organization. So I want to make sure that we share that with our own organization, which is going to be a Cal Poly Pomona, right? So we'll select that. If you go back to that PDF I shared with you moments ago, this is what you need to do, right? You need to select California State Polytechnic University Pomona. And this is the share the model step. This is part of the submission you have to do, so make sure you share that correctly. So one would be the share model. The next one, which we are going to do in a second, would be the actual workbook sharing. So make sure you do that appropriately, share that within the organization, and select share. Great. The model is already shared. And we can check it out later, but let's continue the tutorial. Let's finish that step. Now we want to look at anomalies. So we want to create a new page. We want to create that for Florida State. So let's just go back here, select that new page. Right away, it gives you an option to upload data. This time I'm going to select Florida. Just give it time to load the table, add it. Perfect. Let's just rename that Florida States. Perfect. Saved it. But I want to reuse the model that we looked at. So I want to add the model I just shared to my page. So let's just click on that plus sign right there on top left. And we were looking at add data, but then we can also add a model. You may be able to see my models because they are shared within the organization, but you want to add your own model with your own name. So do not select the ones that I created. Maybe they're incorrect or someone else's. Select your own model because these are within the California State University. So that's why may be someone else's model. Make sure you select your own model and add it to my map. Perfect. So add the model, add the data. Now I just need to do some quick fixes here so the model is updated for the newer data. Right now it is using the Washington data. We want to change that to Florida. All right, so I'm just gonna pause here. Is there anything that you may need a little bit more time or something is not working? Are you all good? Yes? I assume that everyone's able to do that. Paulina?
Yeah. I'm a little behind, but I'm still paying attention.
Okay. And Mary asked me to go through the last step. Perfect. Yes. So remember we shared the model in the previous page. We click on this more options and share, and then here select the model and add the information. Now we are going to use that. So after we add the data, so click on the new page. Great. That's for the state. I can just type it in. I added the Florida State Excel file. Great. Next thing I did, I selected add to page. And on this page, I click on models. And usually if it is set to your own content, you cannot see the organizational content. But if you choose for some reason someone else's content, then as you can see, all these contents would be available. So I would suggest you to make sure you select your own content and choose your own model, and then select that and add it. And that's what happens. So the model is added right now. Okay. So you just need to make some minor updates and then the model will be updated. So this is going to be the one that we have. So click on Washington States on distribution heat map. Absolutely. So click on that. And we want to change that from Washington to Florida State, right? And because that's not what we want. We don't want to use the Washington data. We want to use the Florida State. So select Florida. And then just make sure for replace fields, original field is X. You want to select X coordinate, and Y, you want to select Y coordinate. And everything else should be good. So we change that data set to Florida, and then original field X, X coordinate, Y, Y coordinate. Same as here, right? And then last thing is to update. And as soon as I click update, all of the visuals are updated. It may take some time, right? For example, the heat map, as you can see, it's taking a little bit more, but that's great. Don't forget to save. I just want to make sure everyone is able to finish this step because we're almost done. Just the last couple of things to do, and then we can wrap this tutorial. Okay. Where you're able to update the visuals based on the Florida data.
Yes.
Perfect. So basically, we reuse the model we develop in another um, page and just made some adjustment for the data set and variable names. And then right away, we got the same exact visuals with the same kind of settings, right? We don't have to do the sorting one more time. We don't have to do any of these one more time. It is already done. Saves us a lot of time. Now, if you click on the view data table, you can actually view the data. So here, yeah, I think I have to change that to Florida. This should be Florida. Save. And if I click on more options, I can select view data table. I can take a look at the data. As you can see, it is state of Florida, right? It is not for another state. Perfect. And I can do a little bit more digging into the data. If I zoom in, so click on the heat map to activate, I can just zoom in and look at this area right in the middle of Florida. Just wait for it to be updated. So not all of the concentrations are around the bigger cities. As you can see, there are some rural areas. So that's a different thing compared to the Washington. So I can identify, select lidocaine to update the chart. As you can see, time series is updated. See a spike here. If I look at the heat map, it shows some kind of concentration in the middle of Florida. So it is different compared to the Washington. That's what you need to possibly explore a little more with the data set, and maybe look at the date that the spike happened, the January 1st, 2017, and see why there was a spike, right? Was there a regulation? Something happened during that period that caused that spike, right? Why what's the case for lidocaine? And that these are the things you can explore more from other resources, but data tells you that you need to look into that specific date and those locations. And that is something we can easily identify by going through the actual data set. So we look at that. So that's great. Last thing is to share your workbook. So going back here, make sure you save. And now I want to share this workbook, right? So I already have shared my model. I click on the Insights option. So click on this tool right here. Bring you back to, you probably only have one. If you have made more than one, you may have more workbooks. But here you see the last one I just created, the version 2. And if you click on share, I can share this workbook within the organization. So this is very critical that your workbook has your last name at the end of it. If it doesn't, open it up, add your last name to it, and save it. So hit share and make sure if I go back to the PDF, you make sure that you select Cal State Pomona right here and hit share. Right. I'm not going to do that because I already have shared one. But as soon as you do that, then your workbook would be also visible. As you can see, the icon is going to change, and that is going to be available for other people to see. and these are created by other people. And that is why, so this is a Dr. Kumar, this is probably someone else's workbook, but this is my own workbook. I can do more options with that. Okay, so finish that, and you don't have to submit anything. The only thing you need to do, make sure you shared your workbook and page, I'm sorry, and the model within the organization, and it carries your name. I would say full name would be easier. Of course, there's no issue in identify who is the person who actually made that. But other than that, everything should be, I think, easy to follow.